How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. There's a massive problem going on right now with crypto and crypto YouTube. I want to go through that. We'll look at some news for Bitcoin here today. We'll look at some macro news as well. But there's something that's very concerning to me that I've talked about before. It's not something that makes me bearish on crypto, to be clear, but it has something to do with crypto and crypto YouTube in general. More and more people have gotten kicked off recently. There's someone that just got permanently banned. And I want to give you some of my experience with it because I am losing, just really open and honestly, 5 figures a month because of my recent time that I got kicked off YouTube. So I want to go through that. I'll explain really transparently some of the info that I've been looking at. If you don't mind though, hit subscribe so you can see future videos just like this. Join me in Telegram. It's a couple links down in the description. There, if I get kicked off YouTube again, which is possible, you can watch videos because I'll still make videos on the Telegram and post them there. And I give updates there even when I'm not kicked off YouTube. And we do different things with BYDFi there. If you want to join BYDFi, you can start trading using leverage. Of course, make sure you understand what you're doing. We're going to do another one of these trade to get up to $10,000 worth of crypto events probably next month. And right now we're doing a deposit bonus event going on right now, so you can get extra bonuses just for depositing on the platform for the first time. Now, let's roll the disclaimer. Just a reminder, this is not financial advice. This is not legal advice. Do your own research. I'm never going to reach out to you either in the comment section or through any other means to try to get you to invest in something that I'm investing in or to send me crypto. Some links underneath the video are affiliate links. I may earn a commission, but this is at no extra cost to you. Of course, do your own due diligence. All right, before we get to the macro stuff, you can skip through this if you really want, but being a channel that talks about Bitcoin a lot, obviously a lot of people care about freedom of information, self-sovereignty, that kind of thing. Today, Therre just said, my YouTube channel, the 100X Club, has been permanently removed by YouTube. The appeal was rejected. I've been told the decision is final. They won't put the channel back up. He goes through how he's worked so hard to get to the place that he's in. He's never promoted scams, never put the community at danger, all this stuff. And yeah, he's just kicked off YouTube. This is blown up recently, 265,000 views. I believe, I could be wrong, but I think he already got the channel back. But he started a fund to basically, he got his channel back just now, but it still is a problem. And he started a fund to kind of fight against this. And Rand jumps in saying, yeah, this is a problem. Every day he has a hard time sleeping because he can't scale his channel. Feels like he can't put more money into it because there's just too much risk. Like, this is crazy. And this is blown up too. Now, just giving you some of my, some of my raw numbers, just so that you can see, I've made about $15,000 a month from YouTube ads. The little 5-second ads that are thrown in before videos. You can see here, I made $0, right? Or actually, this is views. I had basically 0 views. I was kicked off of YouTube for a week. Since then, I've turned off revenue. I've turned off revenue here. One video I accidentally left ads on, but I purposely turned off all my ads, and this is causing me 5 figures a month, $15,000 a month that I could be using to feed my family, to invest, to buy Bitcoin. And why did I do that? Because it's been suggested that might be one of the things that causes more scrutiny with the AI algorithm or with YouTube, that if you don't monetize, they're less likely to look at your videos and negatively affect your channel. Now, I still don't know what happened to my channel to get me kicked off for a week. There were 2 specific videos that they pointed out, and they will not tell you what you did wrong. They'll just point you to their terms and conditions, which it's just a lot of very broad language, and they won't give you any indicator as to what you did wrong because they don't want you to get around it. That's how they explain it, right? They don't want you to find a way to get around their algorithm to continue posting stuff that's against their guidelines. But that means that you can't, unless you figure out yourself, which I'm connected with a lot of other YouTubers that have had this happen, and we can't figure out what causes the issue. So I've changed 4 or 5 different things. Hopefully I'm okay, but yeah, I've spent 5 years posting on YouTube, and it could just be taken away, and I don't get an explanation for why that is happening. This is really frustrating. I posted about this, so if you want, you can check out my Twitter I have it linked down below, I believe. But you can check out my Twitter and repost my last tweet, or you can just pay attention, join the Telegram just in case I get kicked off. But this is really unfortunate, and I guess for me, maybe I'll turn ads back on at some point. But there are 3 months where this last strike could affect my channel. If I get another video that is against the guidelines, I get kicked off for 2 weeks, right? If I have another strike after that, I could just be kicked off forever, and you can randomly get just permanently banned without an explanation. So this is really unfortunate. This affects, I think, a lot of people in crypto. People want self-sovereignty. People want to listen to certain people, right? They like their approaches. So this is really unfortunate. It seems like it's disproportionately affecting crypto YouTubers, but we don't know why. Because there's not one single thing that we can point out. Like certain channels have this in their description, but they're not getting flagged. Certain people say this in their titles and they're not getting flagged, but the other people did get flagged. So it's just really unfortunate. Hopefully this gets better. Hopefully YouTube actually takes it seriously, because they'll post like, we hear you. We really appreciate your thoughts. We're going to send it up the line. Okay, well, actually fix it, please. All right, now moving on to economic data. Delayed September report. We're not going to get to October, they said, but delayed September. They basically couldn't take all the data in October because of the government shutdown. This has actually boosted the markets today. If you look, let's look at Market Watch. The NASDAQ up significantly, 2.35%. The S&P 500 up 1.8%. This is a really good day so far. So what exactly happened? Well, non-farm payrolls actually was much higher than expected, 119,000 versus the estimated 50,000 and the previous negative 4,000. So a lot of people, I saw actually Meet Kevin. I was watching a Meet Kevin video where he was breaking down the data while I was on a walk. And he actually thought that this would send the likelihood of a rate cut down because the payrolls was such a beat. But the unemployment rate was higher than expected, which is kind of odd, right? Like more payrolls, but also higher unemployment rate. So this has actually caused the market to be bullish. Why is negative information bullish? Well, we want the Fed rate cut, and if unemployment rates are higher, there's more likelihood of a Fed rate cut. So 4.4% versus the previous 4.3% and the estimated 4.3%. So people are more interested in this number than the payrolls. So this has shot up the likelihood of a rate cut at the next meeting from 21.5% yesterday to 37.4%. So a big increase. Now it's still looking like we probably won't get a rate cut, but there's a higher probability now that we will. Now, there are still some OGs selling. Like, I guess let's cover the stock market a little bit first, and then we'll get to Bitcoin specifically. NVIDIA had great earnings yesterday. They beat expectations by 2 or 3% on EPS and 4% on revenue. They also guided for $65 billion next quarter versus $62 billion, which is much higher than expected. And they said we're selling every chip that we can. And they approached the Michael Burry Burry bearishness head on, saying that we still have chips that are working from 6 years ago. They're 100% working. And we also have, we've been hearing more about the AI bubble, and that's not what we're seeing right now. So they approach some of those topics head on. Jensen did on the call. And this is the largest company in the world. So it moving up 4% is really good for markets. And them guiding for much higher in the future is also very good for markets. I mean, this is a company that's talking about growing 14% on top line by next quarter. Like, you can't make this stuff up. I realize that some people think that this is a bubble, but the fact is, this is the best glow up we've ever seen for any company ever. Like the amount of growth that they've had is staggering. Since last quarter, they had an extra $10 billion of revenue. They grew 20%, over 20% since last quarter in top line growth. And this is after growing 100% last year. Like, incredible. And even at the price that they're at now, like they're at 29 Ford PE, the biggest company in the world. They have $60 billion in cash, $53 billion net net cash. Their profit margin, 53%. This company is incredible. Whether you buy it or not, I don't care, but it's incredible. And it got down to like a 30 price to earnings ratio back in the tariff dip. It's gone up over 100% this year. To be clear, I actually don't have an NVIDIA position, but I own a lot of indices, and NVIDIA is obviously the largest holding in those indices. Now, Google also having a great day. Up 4% today. This was a stock no one wanted to buy for a year, basically. Like, let's look. Basically from 2021 through 2024, this thing didn't move. I mean, it moved down and then back up, but it's crazy to look at this. Like 2.5 years, it did nothing. It was actually down 5% over a 2.5 year time span. And then basically did nothing again. Like, actually, you can look here. From November 12, 2021 to April 4, the bottom of the tariff dip, it was down 1% over like 4.5 years. And since then, it's gone up 106%. Now, why is this? Why does it continue moving up? Well, a lot of the fears around Google have gone away. And fundamentally, they've just gotten a lot stronger. Like, this, I've bought a lot of this company. This is my number one stock holding. I obviously wish I had bought even more, but I've put thousands of dollars over and over and over and over and over into this company. And the fact is, like, if you go back to 2021, when they were at their peak, they continued to increase revenue. They continued to increase net income, EBITDA. Now, to be fair, it did go down a little bit. Like, they had maybe some pull through. Their numbers did go down a little bit from 2021 to 2022. Like, people got concerned, but then they rebounded real fast, right? A lot of this was due to the COVID dip, or COVID in general, right? So they had really good earnings in 2021. I mean, it was a bit irregular. I mean, they're growing, 20% a year, and then all of a sudden they grew by 70%. So it makes sense that they may have a little bit of a dip. You smooth it out, and it was still just a normal growth path. But yeah, they're up over 100% since the April tariff controversy. And now this company is actually the same size as Microsoft, which is crazy. I mean, Microsoft was thought of as like the crown jewel in Google. No one wanted to buy. And now, year to date, Microsoft's up 17%, so still really good. But you look at Google, and it's up 60%. Yeah, so kind of a controversial take. I don't think Google's cheap anymore. I don't think it's super expensive either, but I don't think it's super cheap. Now, they are growing a little bit faster than Microsoft, and I think they will probably surpass Microsoft in a lot of metrics here soon. They're actually very similar for like net income, but they're growing a little bit faster than Microsoft. I think they maybe have more explosive growth, but less steady growth. That makes sense. They have business lines like Waymo that could just balloon to massive amounts of revenue and profit, but it's also riskier than something like Microsoft. Like, that business line is, I'd say a little bit more hit or miss than like Microsoft subscriptions, right? It's just more of a steady business model, Microsoft. So yeah, that's why Microsoft's always been valued higher on a price to earnings ratio than something like Google, because it's got better, or you can see in the future a little bit better with Microsoft. Now, Meta, on the other hand, I think is cheap. You look at Meta, and if Google's at a forward price to earnings of 28, Meta is growing faster and is at a forward price to earnings of 21. I mean, this is a company that's growing 30% revenue for the last 10 years. Google is like 18%, something like that. Free cash flow, 30% last 10 years. And it's not like I'm just picking out the last 10 years because it's incredible or something. I mean, you can look at the last 1 year, it's 23%. Last 5 years, it's 21%. This company I still think is cheap, and I think is a good value. But some people are concerned over their AI spend, antitrust, all that kind of stuff. But that's the best time to buy companies, is when there's uncertainty and people don't really like them that much. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin specifically. This is a long video, and I've waited a long time to talk about Bitcoin. But a U.S. congressman introduces a new strategic Bitcoin reserve bill and says that there will be no capital gains on Bitcoin. Will this pass? Probably not. Like, we've heard this in the past, right? I don't think it's getting anyone excited. But eventually we might actually get that, and that would be a huge deal. If there are no capital gains on Bitcoin, Bitcoin's going to skyrocket in price. So it's nice to see that there's still some momentum with this and people are still talking about it. Ray Dalio says 1% of his portfolio is in Bitcoin. He was actually just on CNBC. This is someone that's worth $15 billion, probably more than that, but that's what's reported. So yeah, he has $150 million as a hedge. A lot of people do that, or if a lot of people do that, the price is going to move up over time, right? 5% of Bitcoin's total supply is left to be mined. That's 1.05 million Bitcoin spread across the next 114 years for 8 billion people. Greatest asymmetric bet in history, right? And I realize, we hear this and it sounds great, but yet Bitcoin's price isn't moving up. Part of that is we've seen more and more OGs selling. Owen Gundin deposited 2,500 Bitcoin, or about $228 million into Kraken recently. He's dumped, it sounds like he's dumped about 11,000 Bitcoin, or $1.1 billion. So there are OGs selling. This oftentimes happens towards the top of a market. I think there are some OGs that are just taking profits off the table because, that maybe they haven't in the past, or they're uncertain over the future. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're going into a bear market or that we're in a bear market or anything like that, but it would be really good to see Bitcoin move up more aggressively than it has over the last, week. You'll look at this, and this is not a very bullish pattern. We continue to see lower lows and lower highs. I mean, just, yesterday or today, we went up to 93.1, which is lower than the 93.5 that we had set the day before, which is lower than the 95.8 that we had set the day before that, and lower than the 96.6 that we set the day before that. I mean, like, it's not looking bullish. This is not a bullish chart. Again, though, I say the same thing. Whether it's $110,000 Bitcoin, $117,000 Bitcoin, $90,000 Bitcoin, if you have a 4-year approach to Bitcoin, it's probably a decent time to start dollar cost averaging. I saw someone give me a hard time in the comments, and you can say whatever you want, obviously. Everyone has their own opinions, but they're like, this is a guy that said that it wasn't a bad time to buy at $117,000. Yes, I've said that throughout the entire time that I've been buying Bitcoin. It's never a bad time to start dollar cost averaging Bitcoin. Right? I still stand by that. Is it stupid to start dollar cost averaging $117,000 Bitcoin? No. Is it stupid to put in all your money at $117,000? Probably. That's why I never suggest going all in at one time. And that's why I always suggest dollar cost averaging, right? I did that, right? I started dollar cost averaging. So I started dollar cost averaging back in 2020 or 2021, right at the beginning of the year. I dollar cost averaged all the way to the Bitcoin halving, which was April 2024, like right in here, right? I dollar cost average throughout the entire bear market. I stopped buying right around here. Was it stupid because we went down to $50,000 and I bought a little bit at, 70,000, then I bought a little bit at 65, then I bought a little bit at, 60, and then I stopped, right? No, I mean, it turned out to be really a good idea. I mean, we're still up 40% or something on that Bitcoin now. I just had to wait. And then just a couple months ago, I started to dollar cost average again. I don't even remember the exact time, but I started with a very small amount. This is how I do it, right? I realized we were in a bear market, or that we were in a bull market, and maybe we still are. But I said this. I made a video that I started to buy Bitcoin again for the first time in a year and a half. And why is that? Why is that? Because I realized we're at a very pivotal point where we could go into a bear market. This is typically where we see a turning point into a bear market. And I could be wrong, but I wanted to start allocating more towards crypto, specifically Bitcoin, because I waited a long time. I'd built up equity positions. I'd built up real estate. I'm well diversified. I have cash. I have a strong income. So I thought I'm going to allocate a very small portion of my income towards Bitcoin. Now, does it move the needle with my current Bitcoin position or Bitcoin ETF position? No, it's very small. Like most people won't even notice it. With a daily swing, it's less than a daily swing in Bitcoin's price. But I wanted to get in that stacking mindset because I've said this. I didn't plan on taking profits from Bitcoin this cycle. because I think there are too many fundamentally bullish things. We haven't gone up fast enough to make me really want to take profits off the table, especially when you account for taxes and timing and trying to get back into the market. I didn't care about taking profits from Bitcoin. I was going to take profits from alts and lever positions, which I did. I wish I would have taken more, obviously, but I started dollar cost averaging. And was it the best time? Like, if I knew the future? No, but that wasn't the point. No one knows the future. So we could be at $150,000. We could be at $80,000 or $70,000 right now. I didn't know what we were going to be, but I wanted to start getting in the mindset and working that muscle of buying some more Bitcoin, even if it's a small amount, right? Even if it doesn't really move the needle for me, I want to get in that mindset because if you're not buying Bitcoin consistently or you don't have cash on the sidelines, I think you're much more nervous about the price because you're just like seeing your bags go up and down in value. You're not actually thinking, wow, I'm getting a better deal than I got last month on this Bitcoin, so I should buy some, right? You're more anxious about it. And for me, so much of investing now is just like mindset, right? I don't want to do things that take a lot of effort. I don't want to do things that are extremely risky, where the risk reward doesn't match up. So like investing in small altcoins a lot of the time doesn't make a lot of sense to me because it's more effort. And I just don't think the risk reward is there anymore for a lot of small altcoins. So with that in mind, like dollar cost averaging a little bit into Bitcoin, I think makes sense. Same thing with $117,000 Bitcoin. Like if you just start dollar cost averaging and realize that you're going to buy for the next 4 years or like 2 years, because typically this is the peak and then like a year from now is the bottom. Then maybe another year we're just kind of puttering around, starting to get some momentum. If you buy for the next 2 years and you start your dollar cost average here, is that a bad thing? No, because you'll probably buy throughout the entire bear market. Let's say we have that same thing happen. Maybe we go down to $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 Bitcoin. You buy for 2 years, then we go up to $200,000, $250,000, $300,000 in a few years. You still made 2x on your Bitcoin. And the important thing is that you started to buy, right? There are too many people that try to wait until the exact bottom. And, maybe you wait and you store up cash, but then, fancy car shows up. Or like you see a cool car and you're like, maybe I'll upgrade my car a little bit. And that costs a little bit more. So you lose a little bit of the money that you're going to put into Bitcoin. And then you're like, I don't know if I want to buy at 80,000. I'll wait. And then we're like 75,000. Maybe you get a couple buys in, right? But you don't want to buy too much because what if you go lower? And then all of a sudden you take off. And then like you have a more expensive car. You've inflated your lifestyle. You missed all this buying at 90,000, 80,000, 70,000. All that time you could have been buying, you were just waiting, scared. And then you didn't buy enough. So I think it's more important that you dollar cost average that you start allocating. That's just my thought on it, right? I'm someone that fully realizes that we can go down further. And I've said that in a lot of videos. I still realize that now. Like we could go into an official bear market where everyone's on the same page that we're in a bear market and it sucks. That's the best time to buy. Like right now, we're down. How much are we down? From $126 to $90,000. We're down over 25%, like 30%. Has it been a bad time to ever buy Bitcoin when you're down 30%? I mean, the last time we were down 30% was the tariff drama. And you had, if you wanted to take profits, you had like 6 months that you could have taken profits. And even now you'd be up. So I don't think it's a bad idea if you have extra capital and you want more Bitcoin. Now, if you don't want more Bitcoin, then don't buy. Like maybe you want to trade, right? If you do want to trade, there's a link to BY DeFi underneath the video. If you're super bearish on this market, you can short it, to be clear. But I'm not doing that. Of course, this is kind of a key area. Something that I didn't really notice is this $89,000 mark where we've kind of puttered around. We're like right between 88 and 89. This has been significant resistance before. So if we break this, like we could easily go back down to 85 or, even maybe a little bit lower. Like this is the region where we really want to hold support. Let me know your thoughts though underneath the video. I really do appreciate it. To be clear, like bullish or bearish, I'm still like bullish or bearish short term, or if we're in a bear market or bull market, I'm still bullish on Bitcoin over the long term. And I still think it makes sense to dollar cost average. And I'm going to continue to trade as well. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it.